Greetings from YouTubeville. Once again, it's the draft guru, Danny Savage. Today, we're going to be we're having fun. We're throwing out about 5, 6 names for the safety list for the fall of 2024 and slash 2025. There's one kid on here, he might come back. So he might be number 6, he might not be 6. So, okay. As a class in whole, I think this year's safety class is a lot better than this past April's. Uh, Pretty much everybody, including myself, had Tyler Nubin out of Minnesota as the number one safety. Uh, there was Bullock from USC was good. There was a couple good ones, but after Tyler Nubin, there was a kind of a big drop off. And then there was a big discussion between a lot of people. Did they view Cooper DeJean from Iowa as a corner? Did they view him as a safety? So it all depends. Some people had him as a corner. Some people had him as a safety. I ranked him as a safety because I just think in the future, I mean, it's crazy, but we haven't had a white cornerback in the NFL in like almost 30 years, which was Jason Sehorn. He was a giant. I hated him. And this is why you don't play your stars in preseason. I forgot who the coach was back then. Maybe it was Fossil. Maybe it was, I don't even know who it was. They had an idea of let him catch a punt in a playoff game. Excuse me, in a preseason game, and he blew out his knee in a preseason game, and he never was the same. I don't think he ever played again. But I hated him. He was a Giants. I hate the Giants. All right, we're gonna start. Malachi Starks, Georgia, 3-year starter, 5 interceptions. 6'1", 205. So he has good size. And like in the last few years, Georgia, has been putting out pretty decent safeties in the NFL. And, you throw 15 pounds on this kid, some people might even switch him to linebacker. I mean, a linebacker hybrid safety, because he's not a problem with pass coverage, and he comes up and he'll stick you, no problem. So, like I said, this is no way we're not ranking people at all. We're just having fun throwing names out for a watch list. That's it. That's all we're doing. Another kid, Rod Moore, out of Michigan, 6', 200. I see him more as a free safety than strong. I see him more. I don't see him being that strong in run support. I see him being more of a ball hawk. 6 interceptions he's had in his career at Michigan. So, and he's been starting for the last 3 years, and he started last year on their national championship team. So he's gonna get, he's gonna get better, and there's a possibility he might get bigger because he's still young. But also, too, just something to throw out there. He's playing behind an absolute monster defensive line. So that might pad his stats a little bit, or actually take his stats away for the run game, where his run game don't look that solid, because a safety should never lead your team in tackles. If a safety leads your team in tackles, your defense sucks. That means your defensive tackles and your linebackers are not doing their job, because running backs should never be getting to the third level. So I remember a few years ago, Arizona Cardinals had this kid, Adrian Wilson. Bro, he was a safety, strong safety. Dude was a monster. monster in run support. He's to lead his team in tackles just because Arizona sucked. And I think he still holds the safety record for sacks in the NFL. And even me and my boys, we were ahead of our time in fantasy. We would do our fantasy offensive players, and our quarterbacks would get 6 points for the passing TD. But instead of defense, because let's be honest, team defense, that's no fun. We would play 6 individual defensive players. We would play two defensive backs, 2 linebackers, and then 2 of anything. And a sack was 4 points, an interception was 4 points, a touchdown was a point. Excuse me, a touchdown was 6, a tackle was 1, a forced fumble was 2, a recovered fumble was 2. So, bro, you got a guy like Adrian Wilson, he was getting you 20 points. I remember Sean Merriman's first year in the NFL. I had him as a linebacker, and I was in the championship game. That's another where the guru comes from. So I won so much. And first play of the game, Sean Merriman had a sack, 4 points. Second play of the game, he had a sack, 4 points. Third play of the game, sack and a forced fumble. So that was 4, 8, 12. The kid had 14 points on the first drive. The kid I was playing just shut it off because it came down to like that Sunday night game. But just getting back to, sorry for a little rant, your safeties should never lead your team in tackles. I know this is a name everyone wants to everyone wants to hear about. Shiloh Sanders out of Colorado, 6 foot 200. Now, Deion Sanders' son, 3-year starter. The pedigree is there. I see him better as a run support safety than a ball hawking interception type safety. That's just my 2 cents. And he does have another year left of eligibility. And Prime has come out already and said that both of his sons and Travis Hunter, who we'll get to Travis Hunter tomorrow because we're going to do corners. He already said those 3 kids are going to pick their schools, pick their NFL teams, and they're not going to be cold weather teams. So if a team is really, really stubborn, they can draft him and he can go back to college, or he can play that. But there's been other guys that have picked the team they've chosen to play for. I'm kind of tossed up about that because one of the reasons I hate with all my heart Eli Manning is because the year he got drafted, the San Diego Chargers drafted him, and he refused to play for him. And a week earlier than that was when Wilson died from Arizona Cardinals. So he walked away from an NFL contract to go fight in Afghanistan, and he gets killed. And now, Eli Manning is saying no, he doesn't want to play for a certain amount of teams. But other guys have done it too. John Elway has done it. So, and in a way, I don't know. Like I said, I'm tossed and turned about that. In a way, I get it. If you're going to risk your life, risk CTE, risk for whatever, I think kind of you should have a kind of a decision to where you want to go, since you're going to lay your body out there. And the second you're done playing, the coaches are not going to care. Pat Tillman was the guy who quit his NFL contract and went to Afghanistan and got killed. And then Eli Manning is saying, no, I don't want to play for San Diego Chargers. So that rubbed me the wrong way. But I'm a both sides of the coin type of guy, so I can see it because look how in Dallas, look how Marion Barber, after he was done playing, he had CTE. The dude tried tackling a car. And it was like 2 years ago, I think. And the Texas had a really, really crazy hot summer. And it was like he had no electricity, and he was like 130 degrees in his apartment when they found him dead. So, as an owner in Jerry Jones, I have zero respect for him, and I have even less respect for his son, Stephen Jones, because how do you allow a guy who played for you and gave everything up on the field for you to die like a dog like that? So that's that. We got another guy, Latham Ransom, out of Ohio State, 6'1", 220, 3-year starter. Has the size, has the range, not afraid to cover wide receivers, uh, not afraid to come up, especially in the Big Ten. If you're a safety, you better have balls to come up and stop the run. You can't be a cupcake in the Big Ten. That's one of those divisions where you know you you have to do that. So then there's another kid. I'm gonna butcher his name. He's a big kid too, 6'1", 220. Xavier Nwanka out of Iowa. He could come back next year. He could come out this year. Iowa is very weird the way they play their centers. They play their safeties. They play their safeties, no joke, like 20 yards off the ball, like in a real center fielder kind of. It's very weird the way they play their safeties. So they have to be a ball hawk because they have a lot of ground to cover. But in the same token, they have to come up as a kamikaze and lay the wood. And they're coming up from a long distance, having collisions. So these are my guys today. Like I said, no way rankings. We're not ranking anyone. This is just my safety watch part one. Like I said, getting back to earlier, I do think this safety class will be much, much better than last year's safety class. Uh, I can see a safety going in the end of round one this year. I can. Where last year, this past April, you didn't see a safety going to round two. Tomorrow, we're going to drop 5 cornerbacks. Then Friday, we're going to drop 5 wide receivers. Then, like I said, then we're going to double back and go boom and start dropping 5 more per position, except running backs. I've put out 10 running backs. So that should put us at a little bit over 120 by July the 1st. And then we're going to do quarterbacks last. But like I said, we're having fun. It's way early. We're in June. A million things can happen from now until then. So if you want your daily draft stuff and watch for props, you know what I'm saying? This is the channel. When you're rocking with the GWO, it's for life. Have a good day, everybody.